Hey, planty people, it's your boy Jordan, and you guys are here on my channel, Kentucky Plant Daddy, and today's video is a video about transitioning a plant from soil to semi-hydroponics. That is the concept of using like LECA or pond, and using a reservoir and keeping them in like a semi-water situation instead of using soil. So I have never transitioned a ficus before, and my husband was able to get one from his boss for free, and it was a big, beautiful, healthy looking specimen. So he brought that home for me. And then I had gotten a ficus shibriana from Kroger. And then I had also got a cutting from somebody at a plant swap that also grew a root system around the same time. So I thought, what better way than to transition these ficus into semi-hydro and kind of record it for you guys so that we can do like a good in detail video on how to transition a soil plant to semi-hydro. I also wanted to choose these particular plants because this plant was pretty mature, like the Taneki, the ficus Taneki. It's not like a cutting, because sometimes I find that if you do it when they're young, they adapt and they grow well into their medium. But sometimes when I'm transitioning plants to semi-hydro, if they're big mature specimens, I get a little bit nervous that my plant's going to shock pretty badly, and I don't want to risk losing the plant, which is why some of my plants are still in soil. And also, I'm fine with some soil plants. I like soil as well. But so the first clip is I'm gonna go ahead and put here, and I'm gonna show you guys that I basically took these plants out of their, sorry, my cat just scared me, it's chasing a bug. The soil is like the compacted soil from like the big box store, and that gets hard and hydrophobic, and it doesn't easily come off the root systems. So these are just going to be some sped up clips of me washing that dirt off with a hose outside, because that was the first step in getting the soil off of these roots, was really hydrating them, probably for the first time, because it was so hard to hydrate them, and then to bust up that dirt and really get in there with my hands, and then I bring them inside. So that's what's happening over here in these clips, and we're going to move on to me actually by my sink working with the roots. Okay guys, I have sprayed and sprayed. That is as good as the dirt is coming off of the roots, which still is not good enough to transition to semi-hydroponics. So I'm going to soak it in some hydrogen peroxide and water mixture, see if that won't help, and then I might have to trim some of these roots back if I can't get more of the soil out of the roots. This little ficus down here was in stratum, so those roots are good and they washed clean easy, but these guys are going to be more of a challenge. Okay, so here's this plant sitting in its hydrogen peroxide solution. Here's the larger Taneki sitting in a hydrogen peroxide solution. I went ahead and trimmed off these leaves off of the shibriana because I didn't like whatever these spots were. I haven't found any pests, but I went ahead, since I'm doing like everything anyway, and sprayed all these plants down, you know, obviously showered them down, and gave them a little bit of a pest solution, dead bug brew. So I will show y'all what the roots look like after they soak for about 30 minutes in these solutions. Okay, so These roots are really long and there's lots of dirt left. I hate to do this because it's a good root system, but I am going to chop back some of these roots. I literally just took off like half that root system so that I can get in there and clean that better. Certain ones of these I think I'm just gonna have to take my time with and get out, but I don't want to cut any of this off because it's not like the biggest root system that there is. Okay, once you get your roots as clean as you can get them, then you're going to put a base layer of LECA at the bottom, and then I put my plant, and I tried to make it to where you could see the roots visibility. That way I can tell if it rots. I would usually put this in like a clear net pot or something like that, but the root system was like too wide, so I had to get this Dollar Tree container, but it's clear so I can watch the roots. And then I used pond as my kind of like top layer to fill around with, and now I'll just have to add water. Same situation here. This is the Shivriana. I had this little piece rooted out from a plant swap in Stratum, and I had bought this one when all of them went really cheap at Kroger. So I decided to pot them together, and I put this one, let me see if I can get a hold of it, in a net pot. And that way I can pull it up whenever I want and kind of see what the roots are doing. So same thing, there's a base layer of LECA, and then on top of that I've just got it surrounded by pond. And then you just want to make sure that you covered all of your active roots. And you want, once I put a small amount of water in these, about a third of the way up, we are going to check probably twice a week and just make sure on these plants that none of our roots are rotting. All right, so here I have some diluted nutrient solution, and I'm just gonna put this in my reservoir. I don't know if you can watch it fill up. I'm just gonna make sure, yeah, right about there. I just basically wanted to make sure that it's touching the pond for this. And then I'm just gonna add a little bit over here as well. And that's a much smaller container, so we don't have to use as much. And then now I gotta find a place to blast these with light, because I think that's probably the most important thing when you are considering transitioning your plants, especially from soil to semi-hydro, because they are bound to shock. And I will say also that I don't have a ton of ficus. My husband brought this one home today from work. It was his boss's and she didn't want it anymore. And then I had bought that Shivriana in the back from Kroger and had swapped earlier for that one that just wasn't rooted. It's just now has a root system to pot up. So other than getting all the soil off of the roots before you transplant, I would say that blasting these with light afterwards is the most important thing. Okay, so I decided to bring these guys up to my plant room for now. They are going to get light from that light there. There's a light right over top of them. And then I also just got this in today. This is the new Barina tower lights, and it's not on right now because I needed to kind of show you where my plants were with like decent lighting. But like, look at this whenever I turn the Barina light on. So I'm gonna leave the Barina light on overnight since we just did this. It's nighttime right now, like 8 p.m. here. Usually I wouldn't do that, but I'll change it tomorrow. I don't know how important that will be for them, but I just want to make sure that they get light after going through kind of like this difficult transition. This ficus teneki that my husband brought home from his boss is beautiful. It was still in like the big box store dirt, and I just didn't want to take any chances with like pests in the dirt or pests on the plant, so I went ahead and pre-treated it. And then we're gonna see. These are my first ficus that I've ever transitioned to semi-hydro, so we're gonna see how they do, and I'll give you guys some updates eventually. Hey guys, it's September 26th now, so it's about 13 days after the repot. So I wanted to do the first kind of little update on our ficus transitioning from soil to LECA. We did that on the 13th of September. So the Shiveriana, this front one, this leaf here is a new leaf. It's not hardened off yet. The back one is still doing okay. The Teneki, this one hasn't done anything, but this one looks like it's about to put out a new leaf. And then if we look at the root system, everything is looking as it should. There's new growth that's white, and what's already there is not turning black or anything. And if I can get this one handed, no, let me get it out and then I'll take a separate clip. Okay, this looks way better than I expected. Look at all this new root growth all throughout it. I mean, it's beautiful roots. So I'm super happy with this. I was gonna wait a little longer because I think 13 days is a little quick to just be like, this was a complete success. But the Shiveriana, 100% is a complete success. That's kind of what I was talking about in my first few clips, because like when they're young and little and like cuttings, they seem to transition fine and like quickly. This one is still a success so far, right? Like I'm getting a new leaf out of the one stem, and I don't have any obvious rot, and my plant still looks good. So we will end the updates here, and you guys can look for updates on this specific plant in plant update videos that I do for October. Oh my gosh, guys, I was not expecting this video to be done this quickly. I was gonna do another 2-week update, but I don't think that it's necessary, so we can go ahead and get this video posted a little early. I'm very, very happy with the 13-day update, and I'll do an October like update of all my plants, and you guys can follow along and see how the Teneki fares. I suspect that it's going to do pretty good. I did think that the ficus would appreciate transition to semi-hydro, because in my experience so far, they enjoyed being wet in soil. So I'm hoping that we can continue to make those plants happy. I am going to see what kind of video is going to be next. I think it's going to be a chopping up a lot of my Hoyas video. So I'm going to like invite you guys to go along with me on that, because I'm going to chop them. I'm going to show you how I'm going to propagate them. And that's because I am wanting to transition a lot of my Hoya to semi-hydro. So maybe I can do a video about that. Another video that I was going to do was go in depth with my semi-hydroponic fertilizer and my soil fertilizer, and just show you the differences And that way you guys can see what I use compared to maybe what you use, and maybe you can like mine better or yours better. Maybe I'll learn from you guys. You just leave me comments. But those are going to be probably my next 2 video ideas. Thank you guys so much for coming to Kentucky Plant Daddy. Please don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to like this video. I really appreciate you guys. I also want to put my Instagram stuff down here like I always do. You guys make sure that you go and follow me over on Instagram at ky.plant.daddy, Kentucky Plant Daddy. I post much more frequent updates of certain plants there. Just whenever I feel like snapping a pic, I just throw it on there. So, you guys, I'll see you in the next video. I hope you guys have a good few days. See ya.